Good morning, my rogue readers. My name is Erin Rogoff, and welcome back to my booktube channel, where today I am making this intro short so we can get right to this book haul video, starting with The Witch Elm by Tana French is a fiction mystery thriller novel, and this book asks what we become, what we are capable of, and when we no longer know who we are. Does that sound interesting to you? Because it definitely sounds interesting to me, and that was enough reason for me to get the book. Ghost Camera by Darcy Coates is a fascinating fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy novel, and it's by Darcy Coates, who is now one of my favorite authors ever, so getting her books was literally no hesitation, or should I get this? It's no, I have to get this. So with Ghost Camera, a small number of cameras can capture ghosts on film, but this gift comes at a steep price. The ghosts are resentful and hungry for humans, their favorite prey. Now, does that sound like a book that you think is worth the read? I do. That's why I got the book. Dead Lake by Darcy Coates is another fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy book that I felt I simply had to get. So, keep the door locked. A week's visit to the remote Harab Lake cabin couldn't have come at a better time for Sam, but this vacation isn't what it was expected to be. Now, it's a Darcy Coates novel, so I automatically got the book. But even if it wasn't a Darcy Coates novel, I would still get the book because of the fascinating and intriguing plot. How about you? The House Next Door by Darcy Coates is another fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy book that I am so intrigued by, I'm going to read it immediately. This is certainly a ghost story, because I live next to a haunted house. That is quoted by the narrator of the book, so it is definitely going to be worth the read, in my own personal opinion, before I even start reading the book. The Haunting of Gilles Spy House by Darcy Coates is yet another book on my TBR list. It is a fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy novel, and it's about this girl, Elle, who is spending a month house-sitting for a friend, but then she hears scratching coming from behind the walls. And those scratching sounds are not human sounds. So what could they be? That is basically the question that is asked through the entire book, and since I am so for Darcy Coates' books, I am thinking to myself, I have to read this. Only a Darcy Coates book can sound interesting with similar titles and still be a completely different plot. So, The Haunting of Blackwood House by Darcy Coates is another fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy book, and the question is asked, can you survive a week in a haunted house? Mara, the daughter of spiritualists, thinks that she can. Logical now and doubtful that ghosts exist, she returns to her childhood home with her fiancé. So, is it possible that the past doesn't want to be forgotten? That is a curious question, and I am very intrigued. A similar Darcy Coates book is The Haunting of Rookwood House. It is another fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy novel, and there's this guy who finds the deed to a house in his mom's attic, which he thinks makes him lucky because he can renovate the mansion and then sell it and make a lot of money. So he would be crazy to turn down free money, wouldn't he? Well, things don't go as planned, and when a mysterious girl continues to watch him, he wonders what will happen next. Moving away from the Darcy Coates books that I have bought, we have The Never Tilting World by Rin Chupico, which is a young adult fiction, fantasy, LGBTQIA+ fiction novel, and it is said to be Frozen meets Mad Max in this epic teen fantasy duology, which is bursting at the seams with star-crossed romances, immortal heroines, elemental magic, and it is perfect for fans of Furyborn, which I have yet to read, but I will definitely read after this because guess what? I have that book too. The next book that is intriguing to me is The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw. Forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong, I am not good at pronouncing all these names. It is a young adult fiction, fantasy, paranormal fiction novel once again, and welcome to the cursed town of Sparrow, where centuries ago, 3 sisters were sentenced to death by drowning for witchcraft. Now, each summer, the sisters return and steal the bodies of weak-hearted girls, so they can keep their revenge by luring boys to the water and pulling them under into the wicked deep. Does that sound interesting to you? Because it definitely sounds interesting to me. Oh my gosh, my hair is so messy, but I honestly don't care. Another book that I have bought is Wicked by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It is a young adult fiction, urban fantasy, romance novel, and things are about to get wicked in New Orleans as Ivy Morgan trolls the French Quarter for fun and for food, as her mission is to get revenge on the creatures who tore her world apart 4 years ago. So when I saw that it was $1.99 on my Kindle, I bought it immediately because all you need to do is be young adult fiction, urban fantasy, supernatural, romance, or whatever, or basically just be in the form of a book, and I will probably buy it. That's quite me being me and being totally honest because, as you can see, my room is stocked with books. Am I going anywhere with this? I have no idea. I've only had 1 cup of coffee today and 1 cup of cider. Another book that I have bought is What You Did by Claire McGowan. It is a fiction mystery thriller novel, and it's about a vicious assault and a devastating accusation. So the question is asked, who should this girl trust? Her husband or her best friend? And I was intrigued by this book because 1, I judged the book by the cover. 2, it's a Claire McGowan book and I love her books. 3, I asked the question myself, what would I do in a situation with this sort of plot? Considering I do not have a boyfriend, I would probably believe my best friend over everything. That's just me though, we'll see how I feel about this book, but I have a feeling that I'm definitely going to love it. The Invited by Jennifer McMahon sounds really cool. It is a fiction, horror, paranormal fantasy book, and it's a chilling ghost story with a twist. In the woods of Vermont, a husband and wife move into a haunted house, and then they start building one from scratch, and they don't even know that it's dangerous until it's too late. So we're wondering, what is the point of no return? What is so dangerous about this piece of property? What is the mystery with it? And there is just so much I don't know about this book that I am definitely going to read it ASAP. I have to admit that Last Summer by Carrie Lonsdale is very intriguing to me, just because, well, the cover artwork is a huge factor, and it is a fiction mystery thriller, and if you know me, I love mysteries. It probably started with my obsession with Nancy Drew when I was a kid because of my mom, but that's beside the point. Anyway, The Invited is a fiction, horror, contemporary romance novel, and among much else, journalist Ella Skye can't remember her pregnancy that's left her husband devastated and their home empty. Like, really empty. And beginning to dive into her past, she is assigned to write a story about Nathan Donovan, who is a retired celebrity adventurer. Kinda like... I'm trying to think of the celebrity adventurer. I can't think of any at this point, but that's maybe just because I've only had 1 cup of coffee. Beside the point. Anyway, she decides to figure out more about this retired celebrity, so she follows Nathan to Sierra Nevada and then to the slopes of Alaska. Since I have a weird obsession with Alaska, since I've always wanted to go there, I decided to get this book just because it sounds so fascinating to me. And so when this girl discovers that more people who are trustworthy, who are in this town, I'm not really sure how to explain this one, but she soon discovers that the people who she trusts are the ones keeping secrets from her. And then she learns that some truths are best forgotten. So if that makes sense, please like this video because I have no idea if I'm making sense right now. Another book that I have bought is World After by Susan E. It is a young adult fiction, fantasy, paranormal romance, and it's basically the sequel to Angel Fall, where the survivors of the angel apocalypse begin to scrape together what's left of the modern world, and the question is asked, can they do it? So it does sound really intriguing to me, and I definitely have to read this book as soon as possible. And the third book in the series is End of Days by Susan E. It is another young adult fiction, fantasy, paranormal romance, and it is the sequel to World After. So this is the explosive conclusion of Penryn's story. So after a daring escape from the angels, Penryn and Raffi are on the run, and this is not Raffi from the Christmas album, I swear. Anyway, they are desperate to find a doctor who can reverse the twisted changes of the angel's torture inflicted on Raffi and Penryn's sister. So can they search for the answers and come to a startling revelation about Raffi's past? Or is it a secret that unleashes the dark forces that threaten them all? That is the question that is asked, and I am totally captivated by this storyline. Anyway, that is all for today, so if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to show some support, subscribe to my booktube channel to get more videos like this, turn those notifications on to be notified when I have a brand new video uploaded. Have a great day, and keep on reading, everyone!